Okay, this video is going to be about creating structural beams and structural floors, elevated floors. We won't be doing much of that excuse me. Well, we do have a couple of beams in our projects that we will be working on, but we're not going to have any structural floors in any of our projects other than what you're doing in the 1127 class here. But I want to show you how to do it. So open up the Creating Floors and Beams file. And I'm on the basement level. And I'm going to go on my keyboard. I'm going to go WT for W. Oh, I got to open up the 3D. Open the 3D view. Need both of them open. And I'm going to go WT so that it tiles them, because I want you to be able to see what's happening as we're doing it. So we're going to start with concrete over here in columns 3 and 4. And let's put in a concrete column. And we'll go with the 12 by 18. And I want to put them on the grids. What happened? Oh, concrete column height. I want it to go from level 1, from basement up to level 2. I don't know why that didn't. Because I went left to right instead of right to left. Duh. Okay. And so let me change this view to shaded, consistent. Okay, so there's our beams, or our columns, okay? And now we're going to do a beam, a concrete beam across those. So we'll go structure, beam, and I want to go with a concrete 12 by 24. Yeah, it should be loaded in the file that you get. If not, you'll need to go load family and go to structural columns. Down here, structural columns and concrete. Rectangular. Oh, that was columns. Okay. Same way, beams. Structural framing. Concrete rectangular beam. And you choose your sizes. Okay, but I'm going to go with the concrete 12 by 24. And these are actually going to be on level 1. Why is it? Oh, so I'll switch back over to my basement level plan, but I want them to go on level 1. You could open up the level 1 plan, that'd be fine. We're going to go grids. Oh, okay. That worked. Okay, that's fine. So now if I open up my level 1 plan, there they are. Okay. But now let's put a section view in here. Oh, that's my crop line. I'm going to Oh, I'm hitting on the wrong buttons over there. I'm going to turn off that crop region. Okay. So why is my beam not showing? Because my section extents was not far enough out. Okay, so there's my beam. Now, we did this based on level, and part of the problem is the top of the beam is at the level. but I want to put a floor on top of it, and the top of the floor is supposed to be at the level height. So what we will do is come here and we're going to go beams, and I'm going to right click and go select all instances, and I'm going to change my start levels. I'm going to take these down 6 inches because my floor, I know my floor is 6 inches thick. Okay, so you notice that moved the beams down 6 inches. And now the columns, we need to move the columns down, and so that will be, let's measure 2 foot 6 inches. All right, so I'll come back over here in my 3D view and select all of the columns. And my top offset will be minus 2 feet 6 inches. Okay, and so you see that brought the columns down underneath the beams. And everything's cool except for those little corners right there, okay? And so we could oh, what happened there? That didn't work right. Oh, it snapped. When I extended it, it snapped. Well, I tell you what, we're just going to leave that for right. I mean, we can do an extension. I'm not going to worry about that right now for what we are doing in this particular project, okay? We're just going to leave that alone. Okay, now I want to do a structural concrete floor. So on my structure tab, I'll go floor, and I want to choose the 6-inch concrete. And it's going to go on level 1. The height offset stays 0. And I come over here and I'm going to go with a rectangle. But I want to do a 6-inch offset to my rectangle. And you'll notice here when you have the rectangle sketch tool, you've got this option for a radius. That would put a rounded corner on it if you wanted it, but we're not going to do that. So we're going to go with that 6-inch right there, okay? And I'm going to come over here and I'm going to pick the grid intersections. And you notice it puts the actual sketch marks 6 inches outside of where I was sketching at. And then I'll finish that. And there's my floor on top of my beams. We look through our section view. There's what we've got. Okay. All right. So I'm going to close that one. Go back to my basement level. Kind of zoom out. Now we're going to do steel. So we're going to put some steel columns in on this side. And then some beams. So we'll go column. Let's go down to a wide flange shot. And we'll go 10 by 33. But they're at basement level, and I want them to go up to level 2. All right, and I'm going to go at grids and pick all of those and finish that. And so that's what it's supposed to look like, okay? And if you look here, you can see them in there. All right, so now we're going to do some beams. And change over to a 12 by 26 beam. And I know the floor that I'm going to put in is 5 inches thick. So I'm going to lower these by 5 inches. And they're going to go on level 1. Where is my... I'm not seeing it. I'm not sure if that... We'll try it. If not, I'll have to come back and... minus 5 inches. We'll try. I'm not sure that that's going to be what I want, but we're going to try it. Okay, and so we'll go on grids, choose those. I didn't want it to go all the way across. That didn't work right. On grids, so let me go left to right this time. That's what I want. Well, that's kind of what I wanted. That'll work. We can place the rest of them manually. Okay, that's fine. So I'll switch over to my level 1 plan. And let's go ahead and change that up. So there they are. But I want to look at a section view. Okay, so that got my dropped them down 5 inches. Okay, so that's good. That's kind of what we wanted. Now I need to put some beams in individually between those. So I'll go beams. That's the same. Z offset -5, level 1, and I'm going to draw these. So I'm going to go grid intersection, or midpoint of that column to grid intersection. Okay, and then I can copy that one, so I'll pick it and go copy, and I'm going to choose that grid intersection as my base point. And I got multiple checked up there. I just looked at that, and I'll copy one to there and one to there. Okay, and so now you can see I've got beams laid out through there. If you're placing beams and you forget to do that offset, just like we did with the concrete ones here, you can pick it and change the start and the end offset elevations after you place them right here. And this is useful for if you have a sloping beam for whatever reason. Yeah, parking garages is an example where you have sloping beams, okay? Or maybe you have a beam on the roof and you need a slope, so that's that. So I don't want to get too heavy into beams, but if we were to edit a family and look at this beam here, and so okay, so here's a cross section of the beam, and when it talks about the Z, well, I have to go back over here to a plan view. So when it talks about this Z justification and Z offset, Z is going to be your vertical height. And so with this beam, the default for Z is the top of the beam, top center right there. And so I gave it an offset of Z, meaning that it's going to go 5 inches down. Okay, and so the Y justification is just that too. It's kind of a, you know, back and forth, left to right, so you can offset it a little bit more. Okay, I don't want to get too heavy into beams because that's outside of this class, but I want you to see that. All right, so now we've got these beams in place, and one of the things, if you look at the plans, they don't attach all the way to the column because Revit knows that they need a connection, and we're not going to get into how to create connections and stuff, but it knows that, and so that's the way it is done. If you, I mean, you can select a beam and grab that end handle. That right there is the end of the beam. The start join cut back right here, that's that 1/2 inch that it's back from the edge. You can grab a handle and drag it out as long as you want, you know. But mostly we're not going to deal with that. All right, so next we're going to do a concrete on a pan floor. We're going to put it on level 1 since that's where we've got our beams. So we'll go structure, floor, and we're going to go the 3 inch on the 2 inch composite deck. And this is a fairly standard commercial type floor, which you've got this metal pan deck that's laid on top of the beams and welded to the beams, and then it gets filled with 2 inch, you know, concrete to make the floor. Fairly common. So we're going to use that one. We're going to go level 1. No changes over here. We don't have any walls that we're dealing with, so we don't have to worry about that. I do want to do an offset, and we'll go ahead and say 6 inches. I know that's not going to be accurate, but I'm going to say 6 inches. And I'm going to go pick lines. And you could draw a rectangle just like we did before. And I'm going to pick my grid lines and then trim the corners. It didn't put my offset in. Happened. Let me cancel that and start over. It changed. So I went pick lines. Now I want to do 6 inches. That one went the wrong way. I'll delete that one and now trim my corners. And just like we did with the concrete floor, you could have done a rectangle, and you know, and that would have worked too. All right, now when you're dealing with floors and ceilings, you're going to see this little double bar line right here, and that is the span direction. A lot of times it won't matter. Okay, like the concrete floor we had, it didn't matter because it was just flat all the way around. So the span direction, oh, I didn't change that. There. The span direction is the direction in which these little grooves here are going to go. So we're going to leave it like it is right there across the top. If you need to change it, you could go span direction and then pick another line. And you see it moved it over here. Okay, so either one of those, we'll leave it like that. We'll finish it. And now I want to look at this section. Is that section 2? Yeah. And so that's what I mean by the span direction. Okay, and so now section 2 Remember, our span direction was tied to this line, which means that those ridges are running in this direction here, vertical north-south in our drawing. Section 2 is facing north, and so there it is. Okay, so that gets you a good primer on beams and columns, both concrete and metal, okay, and the floors, okay, structural floors. I can't really think of much else to add to that. You've got a project this week in which you're doing a whole bunch of little stuff. You're putting in, you know, a wall with a wall footing, some columns, column footing, some beams, and a structural floor, and a slab on grade. So you got a bunch of little stuff that we're just mashing together into a project. So the instructions are very clear there in Blackboard, and there's an image of what it should look like. And so there you go. If you've got questions about any of this, man, send me an email. Come to the lab, see us, get some help, okay?